lands and waters. And we're really at the time in history where it's inevitable. As people get more and more educated, you see. You cannot pretend anymore. I refuse to say I'm going to accept, yeah, there was treaty of annexation. I refuse to say, yeah, the state actually owns that land. I refuse to believe the University of Hawaii knows what's best for our people. I refuse. I refuse to believe that foreign corporations should determine what happens to our lands. And let me just tell you this one story. About in 2015, when the first struggle was going on Mauna Kea, I went to a meeting, and there were some astronomers there. And this one astronomer comes up to me and he goes, you know, Kaleikoa, Mauna Kea belongs to the world. And I said, really? You speak for the world? You see his sickness. He somehow believes that he speaks for the world, first of all. This 1%er. He speaks for the world. And then I said, wow, how did the world come to own? Well, and then I began to teach him and explain to him the history. But you see, he quickly realized, I'm telling you the truth, he doesn't care about the history. So that's why for me, this is about humanity. This is about humanity. That we are real human beings. There is a real history here, a real culture, a real religion and spirituality. And just because he is inadequate and he has supremacist beliefs and he thinks his vision of the world is the only thing that matters, I refuse to accept that. Because I believe all peoples have a right to be human beings and be treated as human beings. To somehow believe that he can give Mauna Kea to the world is founded on the same things I just talked about. That's a sickness that he carries. I refuse to accept that. I refuse to be dehumanized anymore in my life. And some of you are familiar with my court case, for example, with the language. In the same way. The Maui Circuit Court, the Maui Second Circuit Court of Maui. The original language was Hawaiian. Hawaiian wasn't something new in that court system. It went from Hawaiian into English. They said, well, you know, why do we have to provide a translator for you? And I said, no. See, this is you guys' confusion. That translator isn't for me. That translator is for the judge and the prosecutor. They are the ones that are inadequate in Hawaii. But you see, there's still this contingent, there's still this mentality, because there are people who benefit from our dehumanization. They benefit from the idea that we're not real humans, that we don't have a real history and spirituality. They have an economic benefit to that. So they're going to hang on to those ideas. About 10 years ago, when I was fighting, or began the fight for the solar telescopes, the solar telescope on Maui, Kaleikoa, I sat right across from this guy. His name was Craig Foltz, and I told him I'm going to make him famous. He was the head of the Solar Observatory, National Science Foundation. And I'm talking to him about the telescopes, and I'm asking him, I gave him this whole story in Hawaii, in our story. It's actually about Mamala Hoa, that is law disputed paddle, which basically in the end says, Wakapu Piola Nakani, means life is sacred to Kani. And really what it means, in Hawaiian thinking, life is the most sacred thing. Culturally, life is what's most sacred. I tell him this story, and I even quote Gandhi, you know, that one of the 7 sins is science without humanity. And I'm expecting this guy to give me some kind of story about the value of that telescope. And I say, tell me, what is the human question? Are we going to save lives? And I told him, you know, as a Hawaiian, Kanaka, I bleed, I don't care. I can suffer if we won't save lives. That's our nature. If I know we will save lives, I'll suffer. And I ask him, I look him directly in the eye. He looks at me and he goes, it's just pure selfish research. I mean, I want to reach across and choke him in the neck at that point. But that arrogance, you see, that idea that his pure selfish research supersedes our right to be human beings. That is the fundamental issue, really, what's going on. Now, unfortunately, many of the politicians, the astronomers, the investors, the corporate elite fail to understand this. They think it's only about these telescopes. They have no sense of what's going on in the community. They have no idea what's going on with their young. They're so disconnected from what's happening, not just in the Hawaiian community, but for many of those who live with Hawaiians, that we want a better world. You know, whether it's fighting against GMO crops, that's the same fight. It's the fight for us to define for ourselves our future. Whether it's about returning water to the streams, it's the same fight. It's no different. And really, to me, that's the heart of the matter as a people today. And so even in Hawaii, I say, you know, even working with many non-Kanaka, and I say, you know, yeah, the Hawaiian question might be in the middle, but if you plan to live here for the rest of your life, we're all in the same fight. If my grandkids and your grandkids can get together, and their grandkids down the line, we're really talking about the same future. If you could call Hawaii your home for your children and grandchildren, we're all in this together. When my EV going to the ground, next to yours in the ground, we all end up in the same place. So we all have the same responsibility to make Hawaii the best we can. And I believe the best way to do that is for us working together to define for ourselves, determine for ourselves what is best for ourselves. And we can no longer allow those foreign corporations or those compradors in Hawaii who make money from those foreign corporations, or those who still hold on to this kind of old sickness as they see us, to continue to rule Hawaii. Those days are over. It is over. There's a new Hawaii being born.
Ew.
I'm telling you, there is a new Hawaii being born. That old plantation being manipulated, greedy, just for me kind of Hawaii will be over. I truly believe that. But the only way it's over is if we all work together and we all take on our responsibility and we do whatever is necessary for that to happen. Because if we don't, as I say with the Mauna Kea question, we're in a juncture. Either we're going to step forward together for a better Hawaii, or whatever fabric of Hawaii we had that we had made us special will be gone. And I truly believe that. Because our people will no longer tolerate being subhuman. You know, they get, Mauna Kea has nothing to do with Standing Rock. Little did you know that we've had a long relationship with many of those who have worked in Standing Rock. Or those, our brothers and sisters up in the unceded territories of Canada, fighting the pipeline up there. Or in Louisiana. Or brothers and sisters in Papua. Throughout the world, it's the same fight. Not just a fight of survival, but a fight for a different world. A world where again, look at this sick world we live in today. The world is dying. It's dying from that mentality. The same mentality of those who want to put that telescope on that mountain, which says, we don't give a shit about what Hawaiians think and feel and who they are. Their research is more important. Great humanity. So to me, it's a question of humanity in the end. And so, with that, I'm committed to continue my fight and our fight. And, Mauna Kea really is a symbol of that fight. But whether it lasts 2 weeks, 5 years, or even 10 years, as we said, TMT will know no peace If I meet any of those astronomers on the street, I'm gonna let them know how I feel. Because we can no longer be silent. I no longer accept that kind of Hawaii. The kind of Hawaii where only the wealthy 1%ers will take waters from our streams and divert so they can get 1 second swimming pool, or a jacuzzi, or 3-car, whatever it is that's going on. That has to change. And I actually believe, it might sound crazy, I believe Hawaii has something to offer the world.
Hi.
If we can survive together here, on these islands, I think that's something that can reach to the rest of the world. And in fact, that's kind of what's going on in some of the other struggles right now. With our brothers and sisters in Aotearoa, standing in their mountain, in Kapualoa, just like us also. Yeah, so, anyway, freedom and justice for all. Mahalo.
Kuki ai Mauna!